ದಣಿವರಿಯದ ಕರ್ಮಯೋಗಿ ಜಪಾನಂದ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ. ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಅವರೊಂದು ಅದ್ಭುತ ಶಕ್ತಿ. ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿರುವ ದಣಿವರಿಯದ ಕರ್ಮಯೋಗಿ. ಬಾಲ್ಯದಿಂದಲೇ ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮದತ್ತ ಹೊರಳಿ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಆಶ್ರಮದ ಪ್ರಭಾವಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳಗಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದರ ದಿವ್ಯ ಜೀವನ ಸಂದೇಶಗಳನ್ನು ಸಾರುತ್ತಾ ಬೌದ್ಧಿಕ, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ, ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ, ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯ ಸೇವೆ ಒದಗಿಸುವ ನಿರಂತರ ಕಾಯಕದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿರುವ ಸರಳ ಚಿಂತಕ, ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವಕ ಶ್ರೀಮದ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ. ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ವಿಕೋಪಗಳ ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರಿಗೆ ಮಿಡಿಯುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದ ಶ್ರೀ ಹೃದಯ. 6 ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳ 12,000ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರಿಗೆ ಜಪಾನಂದ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ನೆರವಿನ ಹಸ್ತ. ಕಳೆದ 40 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಠದ ಸನ್ಯಾಸಿಯಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನೇ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದರ ಆದರ್ಶಗಳನ್ನು ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನ ರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ತರಲು ಅಹರ್ನಿಶಿ ದುಡಿಯುತ್ತಿರುವ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ವಿಕೋಪಗಳು ಬಂದಾಗಲೆಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಗಡಿ ದಾಟಿ ಸೇವೆಗೆ ಧಾವಿಸಿ ಸಹಾಯ ಹಸ್ತವನ್ನ ನೀಡುತ್ತಾ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಕೈಗೊಂಡು ಸಹಸ್ರ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಬಂಧುವಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಭಗವಂತನನ್ನ ಕಾಣುವ ನಿಷ್ಕಲ್ಮಶ ಹೃದಯದಿಂದ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಿರುವ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದರಿಗೆ ದೊರೆತ ಮಹತ್ತರವಾದ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಗಳು ಸಹ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿವೆ. ತುಮಕೂರು ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯ ಬರಡು ಪ್ರದೇಶವಾಗಿರುವ ಪಾವಗಡದ ಗ್ರಾಮಸ್ಥರು ಕಳೆದ 6 ದಶಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ 50ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬಾರಿ ಬರ ಎದುರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಂತಹ ಬರದ ಸಂಕಷ್ಟಗಳಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದುರಂತಗಳು ಸಂಭವಿಸಿದಾಗಲೆಲ್ಲ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರ ನೆರವು ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರ ಸಂಕಟವನ್ನ ನಿವಾರಿಸಿದೆ. ಕೇರಳ ನಾಡಿನ ವಯನಾಡು, ಬೆಳಗಾಂ, ಗೋಕಾಕ್, ವಿಜಯವಾಡ, ಅನಂತಪುರ ಸೇರಿದಂತೆ 6 ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಭೂಕುಸಿತ, ಪ್ರವಾಹದಂತಹ ದುರಂತಗಳು ಸಂಭವಿಸಿದಾಗ ನಿರ್ಭೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಆ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಿಗೆ ಭೇಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರ ಕಣ್ಣೊರೆಸುವ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರ ನೋವಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಹೃದಯ ಮಿಡಿದಿದೆ. 2024ನೇ ಸಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ವಿಕೋಪ ಸಂಭವಿಸಿದ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳ 12,000 ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರ ನೋವಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರ ಹೃದಯ ಮಿಡಿದಿದೆ. ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತರಿಗೆ ದಿನಸಿ ಕಿಟ್ ಸೇರಿದಂತೆ ಮನೆ ಬಳಕೆಯ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಣಿವರಿಯದ ಕರ್ಮಯೋಗಿ ಶ್ರೀಮದ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ. ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವೆ ಕುರಿತು ನಿವೃತ್ತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರೊಂದಿಗೆ ವಿಶೇಷ ಸಂದರ್ಶನ. ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದರ ವಿಚಾರಧಾರೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನ ರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ತರುವ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಧ್ರುವ ನಕ್ಷತ್ರದಂತೆ ನಿರಂತರ ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗುವ ಮೂಲಕ ಮಾನವನ ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ಮಾಧವನನ್ನ ಕಾಣುತ್ತಿರುವ ಪಾವಗಡದ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸೇವಾಶ್ರಮದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದ ಶ್ರೀ ಜಪಾನಂದ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ಜಿ ಅವರ ಕಾಯಕದ ಕುರಿತು ವಿಶೇಷ ಸಂದರ್ಶನ ಹೊಂದಿದೆ. ಈ ವಿಶೇಷ ಸಂದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತದ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನಿವೃತ್ತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರೇ ಸ್ವತಃ ಜಪಾನಂದ ಶ್ರೀ ಅವರ ಸೇವೆಯ ಕುರಿತು ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಶನ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಸಂದರ್ಶನ ನೋಡುವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಮುನ್ನ ನೀವು ನಿವೃತ್ತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲೇಬೇಕು. ನ್ಯಾಯಾಂಗ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುದೊಡ್ಡ ಹೆಸರು ಮಾಡಿರುವ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರು ಒಬ್ಬರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ಬರ ಸಾಧನೆ, ಸೇವೆ ಕುರಿತು ಸಂದರ್ಶನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಸುಲಭದ ಮಾತಲ್ಲ. ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಶ್ರೀಗಳ ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವೆ ಎಂಥದ್ದು ಎನ್ನುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರ ಸಂದರ್ಶನವೇ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಪ್ಪಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಂಎನ್ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಎಂದೇ ಖ್ಯಾತರಾದ ಮನೇಪಲ್ಲಿ ನಾರಾಯಣರಾವ್ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಭಾರತದ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಯಾದ 2ನೇಯ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರು. ಅವರು 18 ತಿಂಗಳ ದೀರ್ಘಕಾಲ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ನಂತರ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳ ಆಯೋಗ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ತಿದ್ದುಪಡಿ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ ಆಯೋಗಗಳ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಭಾರತದ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಕಾನೂನು ಲೋಕ, ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಲೋಕ ಮತ್ತು ಹಿಂದಿನ ತಲೆಮಾರಿನ ಸರಳ ಸುಸಂಸ್ಕೃತ ಜನಾಂಗದ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನಡುವೆ ಇರುವ ಎದ್ದು ಕಾಣುವ ಹಿರಿಯರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಹಾಗೂ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಮಹತ್ವದ ತೀರ್ಮಾನಗಳನ್ನು ನೀಡುವ ಮೂಲಕ ಖ್ಯಾತಿ ಪಡೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನ್ಯಾಯಾಂಗ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಖ್ಯಾತಿ ಪಡೆದಿರುವ ಎಂಎನ್ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರು ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಂದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿರುವುದು ನಿಜಕ್ಕೂ ಅಚ್ಚರಿಯಾದ್ರೂ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ವಿಚಾರವೇ ಸರಿ. ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಕಾಯಕ ಕುರಿತು ಕಾನೂನು ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದ ಖ್ಯಾತರಾಗಿರುವ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಶನ. ಶ್ರೀ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಅವರ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಆಶ್ರಮ ನಡೆಸುತ್ತಿರುವ ವಿವಿಧ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ.
We are taking up the name of a great human being. Swami Japananji Maharaj is a great life in our times. His life and dedication to public service is a reflection of his devotion to his master, Swami Vivekananda. The very name of Swami Vivekananda is so inspiring. His name is virtually a recollection of a great renaissance, spiritual renaissance of India at a time when everything was looking dark and bleak in the Indian scenario. Swami Japananji Maharaj has inherited that spirit, and his life is a symbol of dedication to that cause. It's a great life in our times, and the institutions he has built, the causes that he has taken up for service are all inspiring, and I am so happy that you have given me an opportunity to express my great admiration of this saint, philosopher and scientist amongst our midst today. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about him. I have known him and in a way associated with him for over 35 years. My introduction to Swami Japananji Maharaj was through my very esteemed friend Justice J.M. Chandrasekhar, who was instrumental in introducing me to Swami Japananji Maharaj and his institutions in Pavagada. The work that Swami Japananji Maharaj has taken up reflects the width of his concern, the depth of his concern for the plight of the citizens of that area, which initially Pavagada was a leprosy endemic area of leprosy infection. He took up that cause initially and diversified into so many fields, and whatever he touched, he has adorned.
ಶ್ರೀ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಆಶ್ರಮದ ಕೆಲಸ ಹಾಗೂ ಆಶ್ರಮದ ಅನನ್ಯತೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವೇನು?
I am not the patron, sir. I am a humble servant of that ashram.
Great, sir.
The real patron of that patron and the inspiring spirit of that institution is Swami Vivekananda himself. And Swami Japananji Maharaj has inherited that eternal spirit of service from that great master. And Pavagada was initially an endemic leprosy area. I think, like all areas infected with diseases like leprosy, tuberculosis and others, they get neglected because of the fear of contamination and infection. It's a very inspiring story. Swami Japananda's introduction to Pavagada and its problems and the way in which he developed the solutions for it is an inspiring story. It must inspire all the young men of this country. But you must put all problems that a society faces in the proper context. That's a time when science had brought enormous hope to mankind. Things, for example, leprosy once considered almost incurable, tuberculosis considered very difficult to cure, and other serious infections. How science solved the problem is something very inspiring, and how people, poor societies, poor countries adopted that kind of scientific solutions to solve their problems is again a very inspiring story. Everything must be put in that context. And the story of leprosy and its treatment and emancipation of man from that scourge of disease is an inspiring story. Swami Japananda, when he started that, poverty, disease, desperation, hopelessness are all companion emotions when we deal with human suffering. But one thing that we must say is that usually philosophers and religious people do not place too much of faith in science. They place faith in religious faith. But the extraordinary feature of the Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement is that they have adopted the scientific method of solutions to human existential problems.
Sir,
They don't say philosophy is a cure for everything. Science is a cure for the things which science alone can cure. To adopt scientific methods and combine it with the spirit of philosophy and charity and religion is the genius of a sannyasi and a man who professes a path which combines these two things, recognizes the merit of science, merit of technology, merit of the spirit of science, and use those tools for the amelioration of human suffering. And this is what the inspiration Japanji got. The point I wish to make is mere emotion will not provide proper solutions. You must have the spirit of service, but at the same time you must know the limitations of faith, limitations of our mere sentiment, and the real effective tools of science and the methods of delivery of scientific relief to those who suffer from the diseases of the modern day. In fact, Swami Japananji Maharaj is the very personification of a new philosophy of religion which takes into account and assimilates science and the advancement of human knowledge as a tool for service of mankind. It is not merely sentimental approach to problems of society. It's a practical approach to this problem, practical approach to the solutions of the problems of society, and make science a tool of service of mankind, and recognize the enormous potential of science to bring relief to mankind in various fields. For example, the scientific, who thought at one point of time in the past, who thought there was a cure for leprosy at all, cure for tuberculosis, cure for blindness? science and technology have advanced so much that ophthalmology has become such a great science, and the achievements in ophthalmology are mind-boggling. Cure for blindness, for cataract, and all that is something which is impossible to have been thought of at one point of time in the past. Now it has become a household name. Cataract operation can be done in half an hour's time. Whoever believed that science would make it so simple as that. And for example, the treatment of leprosy, the triple drug treatment has made leprosy curable, which whoever thought at one point of time leprosy was curable at all. And it was possible. But how to deliver these tools of relief to the people requires a combination of not only science and technology and medicine, but administrative capacity to plan out things. Without a practical planning and meticulous arrangement of sequence of things can't be delivered. This is the genius of Swami Japanji Maharaj. For example, we know at point of time when cataract relief was so easy, science developed intraocular implantation of a lens. It became so popular and so easy. Then people took it up in a big way. They took it as an opportunity for curing blindness, which was pervasive in this country. And see what happened. Then everybody enthusiastically took up camps for eye operations. And even in temples, in areas of religious institutions, they had this eye camps. But they ignored the meticulous need for cleanliness in the atmosphere of treatment. It was necessary to keep the treatment process strictly according to the medical requirements of medical science. They used to have it in religious places and holy places where hundreds of thousands of pilgrims would come and get themselves treated for cataract. We had seen at one point of time in the past, now hopefully that stage is over, at one point of time, on account of the unhygienic conditions, people lost their eyesight. The delivery process was not so meticulously kept clean and strictly in accordance with the requirements of medical protocol, that large number of people suffered on account of that. And we had occasion in the court and elsewhere to deal with the situations and suggest solutions. And the protocol of the eye camps for cataract operations was so redefined and made meticulously to comply with the requirements of the required standards.
ಪಾವಗಡದ ಫ್ಲೋರೈಡ್ ನೀರಿನ ನಿವಾರಣೆಗೆ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಅವರು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಶ್ರಮ ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ?
Fluoride and arsenic poisoning, arsenic contamination of subterranean water is a huge problem. There's a problem in Bengal, in one of the districts. For example, one district is written with not fluoride but arsenic poisoning. Yes. And that question, incidentally, I may mention that an issue came up from West Bengal about the arsenic poisoning of one of the subterranean sources of water in one of the districts. We were dealing with that problem. Then I came across an article in the New Science Journal in America, which said there was a standard treatment for reducing arsenic contamination in water by putting the water through a pressure process. Put the water through a pressure process of a mix of sand and iron filings. I got that article and sent it to the then Chief Minister, in the Human Rights Commission. I sent that article to the Chief Minister of West Bengal, and he thanked me for it, and I think took some steps to explore the possibility of using that technology for relief in one of those districts in Bengal. So far as fluoride is concerned, here I think one of the ministers, Mr. H.K. Patil, I think in the previous term, he started curing subterranean water contamination, of fluoride contamination through a process of a scientific process where he would install this number of these potable water thing. That's a great service. That's a great service. They would make it available for 10 paise a litre or even less.
That entire Karnataka.
It is something of an extraordinary. That's the only, perhaps so far, only affordable solution to fluoride contamination of subterranean water.
ದೇಶದ ಯಾವ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಜನರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆಯಾದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಇರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಮಾನವೀಯತೆ, ಜನಪರ ಕಾಳಜಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ.
My admiration of Swami Japanandaji Maharaj is not only as a man of religion, but a man who is intensely human. Intensely human. He is the very personification of the philosophy of an impersonal love for mankind. He is imbued with that spirit of an impersonal love for mankind, and that makes him restless when he sees the suffering of people. It is the nature of a saint that he is terribly disturbed when he sees some harm happening to others. It is the very nature of the spirit and soul of a saint that he gets stirred when he sees this kind of suffering. And one great thing about it is not merely emotional. His mind is so rational and scientific that he plans everything in a very meticulous way. Without planning, all effort will become useless. Proper planning, scientific planning is and correct.
Make it success and
adhere to the proper prescribed protocol is the most important thing. People become more emotional, but he is both emotional and highly rational. The planning, in fact, I used to say that a monk of the Ramakrishna order is equal to 4 MBAs. Because there's the tradition of the Ramakrishna order that they don't take up a job unless they analyze the pros and cons of a particular step, analyze the efficacy of the methods that they want to adopt to cure a particular problem and answer a particular situation. This meticulous planning, for example, I can tell you something. When you deal with, for example, flood-affected people and provide rehabilitation of people elsewhere, you give a kit of essentials to them. There, how meticulously the contents of the kit is planned is indicated by the fact that they put a matchbox also into it. This matchbox is a metaphor. It is the metaphor for the mind that has planned it so meticulously. It's not the matchbox.
Needs.
It is a symbol of the accuracy of the planning. And this is something which is a gift for Swami Japanandaji Maharaj. And he can visualize what's the problem, what's the solution, and how there should be no mismatch. In many a time you are more emotional, we provide, either the solution does not suit the problem, or it goes above it, or it goes below it. And the meticulous thing is the commitment not to waste the resources, his deep commitment to see that the resources, valuable resources, are not wasted. Plan it correctly, and the problem and the solution should have a good rational match. And this is an extraordinary capacity, and this is what I see in the monks of the Ramakrishna order. Swami Japanandi Maharaj is beyond description of words, and is, as a human being, as a saint, as a philosopher, as a sympathizer of man, and his impersonal love for mankind is the motivating force.
ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜರವರು ಅನ್ಯ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಗಳಿಗಿಂತ ಹೇಗೆ ಭಿನ್ನ?
But what I think is, ego is a problem with many people who think that they know things.
Great.
Many of the religious leaders are no exemption from that kind of mental state. It's not fair to compare, it's unfair to the others to compare them with Swami Japanji Maharaj, because they may not come up to that level of commitment, knowledge, and meticulous adherence to standards.
Great, sir.
He is a scientist that way. All the other Mathadhipatis generally, there are many great people, there are hundreds of them who are well-intentioned. They feel for the suffering of others, and they want to do great service to mankind. But the difference that I notice in Swami Japanji Maharaj is his extraordinary capacity to pre-think and think out the required balance between the problem and the solution.
Mm-hmm.
He is very meticulous that resources should not be wasted. And there must be optimal use of the resources. And in his approach to solution, there is no waste of resources. This is one marked feature about Swami Japanji's planning. And his tirelessness is, we don't see any physical or mental fatigue in his work when it comes to a question of providing relief to suffering people.
ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಬೆಂಬಲವಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿರುವ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವೇನು?
Swamiji is politically neutral and scientifically accurate and emotionally perfect. And he can't be compared to others. Others have their own good points. Others have their own generosity of mind and heart. But Swamiji combines generosity of heart, generosity of mind, and accuracy of a scientist. This is the good thing. The planning is most important in all these efforts of providing relief in a mass. There should be no waste of resources, optimal use of the resources. And this is the most important thing. And Swami Japanji Maharaj, see, there is a great statement, Kriya Siddhi Satve Bhavati Mahatam Nopakarane. No equipment. Sense of achievement is the internal attribute of a great man. Kriya Siddhi Satve Bhavati Mahatam Nopakarane. It is not the equipment. It is the internal strength, internal attribute of a great man. This is how we distinguish a great man from ordinary people who may have equally good sentiments and good intentions. But a combination of great ability to plan out things and think of human sympathy, combine it to some alone have that kind of capacity, and Swami Japanji is an ideal example of that.
ಪುರುಷೋತ್ತಮ್ ಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಜಪಾನಂದ ಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ಗೂ ಇರುವಂತಹ ವಿಭಿನ್ನ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸಗಳೇನು?
So I had known of Swami Purushottamanandaji's work and his capacity to inspire people. But in the practical work, in the practical field, in the ground level, I'm yet to see a person of Swami Japanji Maharaj's total commitment to relief and untiring readiness to take upon any relief work under the most difficult circumstances. For example, in Madras floods, the planning is not easy because people are different, the conditions are different, the whole area is foreign to Swami, but he has a great capacity to plan out things in a way which will yield results.
ಜನಪರವಾಗಿ ಜಪಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜರ ನಿಸ್ವಾರ್ಥ ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯುವಕರು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸುವಿಕೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ?
One thing is, you can't replicate government. You can't be a substitute for government.
Yes, very true, sir.
And secondly, if you become a government, your administrative work will expand in such a way that your real service will come down. Administration becomes a big problem.
Very true.
So it is to aspire to be a government is the wrong thing for any private institution to undertake that aspiration. But side by side, the capacity to administrative responsibilities will overtake the service responsibilities. You must be careful.
Yes, sir.
That's why in management people say, we'll buy or build. It's cheaper to buy than build. Where you should build, where you should buy, is a matter of great, requires great expertise of mind and your capacity to evaluate things, make good comparisons. The more you undertake this kind of work, if you enhance your administrative abilities, you must also expand your capacity to employ people like persons with administrative expertise to come and help you. You must build parallelly not only those who are doctors who will do service in the hospitals, those who plan out these things. Accurate planning is absolutely important. And a think tank, a planning unit, for example, you want to undertake something, in 3 days' time you must plan out something. You must have a resource talent pool who will plan out things for you and give you a plan which will, with the minimum expenditure, you get the maximum result.
Yes,
and if, for example, if a project goes awry, your reputation is at stake. Then the next project will suffer on account of the failure of the previous one. Failure may be on account of some small administrative mistake.
Yes. Message to youth, sir.
You see, you can't today ask young men to devote their life to the service of society. They have their own ambitions, their own life to live, their own bread and butter issues. But as a exposure to the opportunities available in this kind of area, for example, 1 month in a year or 15 days in a year, they must come, sit with the elders or work with the group, just experience and reward them. For example, they work in the team for 15 days, they will get introduced with. Next time they can work for a month. But asking people young people to work without expectation of a reward is impracticable and it is not fair to them. They have their own needs, their own way in which they have to live out their life in the society. It needs money.
Yes.
And what is more important is at a higher level. For example, a person at the age of 50 who has a good job, he can take a month's leave and come and work, spend honorary service in Japanese unit, Swami Japanese unit in some field of their expertise. See, simultaneously it needs a parallel system to be built up. And that is yet to happen. That must happen. It's all Swami Japananda centric thing. And he, under his wings, a team should develop. And he will do it. His inspiration is so much that he will do it. You must build for example, a Ramakrishna mission. Sometimes they are more formal and protocol ridden than the government itself. It is necessary. For example, I have the experience, one of my very rich clients donated all his wealth to the Ramakrishna mission under a will. It took me 6 months to negotiate with them. They asked hundreds of questions. And a lawyer is a very rich man in Bangalore. And ultimately he wanted to give his property to them. Before accepting it, they were asking 100 questions, rightly.